Boleh Okay. So I've already asked you to do the IP subnetting assignment. Okay. Before we start, I would just want to ask any questions on the assignment. Any questions on the IP subnetting assignment? Anybody want to ask? Semua okay Abdullah. Abdullah. Abdullah, are you sleeping? I cannot hear you. Okay, if okay, you are with me. So how's the assignment? Any question that you want to ask? Okay, Sharifah, okay, Sharifah. Boleh buat semua assignment?
Setakat ni Alhamdulillah boleh lagi.
Apa dia?
Alhamdulillah boleh buat lagi.
Boleh buat lagi Betul salah tak tahulah kan?
Tak tahu lah tu.
Okay. Siapa kenal Husna dia sini, Husna? Siapa-siapa kenal Husna? Dah masuk belum dalam ni? Tak ada pun nama lagi. Azila kenal Husna ke? Azila. Diam je, pergi mana ni? Pergi dapur apa? Okey lah. I think let us start lah Tak kenal pasal tak kenal lah. Ada siapa-siapa kenal Husna? Okey. Dia ambil kelas kita lagi kan? Okey. Dia tak masuk lagi dalam kelas ni. Okey. Okey, tak apalah. Let us continue. Okey. Saya pun lupa dah kat mana kita. Chapter Subnetting IP Network. Okey. So nampak netaket saya. Okey. So I think we already covered IP version 4 subnetting. Okay, so there are two ways of subnetting. One is fixed length subnetting mask, FLSM. Another one is variable length subnet mask. Okay. After this, when you want to do subnetting, okay, you have to read the questions. So whether they ask you to use FLSM or VLSM. Okay. However, for your SBA2, later on, they will ask you to do VLSM, yeah, not FLSM. Understand? Okay. For SBA 2, you will be asked to use VLSM for the IP version 4 subnetting. Okay. Now, any questions on that IP version 4 subnetting, VLSM? Semua okay? Semua okay, eh? Okay. So now we are going to move on to the subnetting and IP version 6. Okay. Now, for your information, okay, IP version 6, we don't have to do the subnetting. Okay. We don't need to do subnetting. We only do subnetting for IP version 4. Okay. Because why? In the IP version 4, as you can see in the screen, no, IP version 6, as you can see in the screen, they have a specific column called subnet ID. Okay, so this column is for you to do the to use this for assigning the subnet number for the network. And the number of bits allocated for this subnet ID is 16 bit. So imagine that you can have a lot of subnet there, yeah? 2 to the power of 16, I don't know how much, you can calculate by yourself. So you don't have to worry about the subnetting by borrowing the bits from host portion, yeah? Because in IP version 6, you can just use the subnet ID column, okay? Because this is allocated for the for designing the subnet. Okay. Now, just to recap, so IP version 6 has how many bits? IP version 6 has 128 bits. Yeah. So 48 bits is allocated for this global routing prefix. Yeah. So this is the prefix, the network, or the portion of that is assigned by your service provider. Okay. So your service provider, when you subscribe, they will assign you this number under this global routing prefix. Yeah. Okay. And then this is the subnet ID. Okay. So then you can use whatever how you want to assign your subnet ID here, 16 bit. Okay. And then the last one is the interface ID. Okay, so this is the similar like IP version 4 to assign for your laptop, okay, your end devices. Okay. Okay, for example, okay, can you see this clearly? So for example, okay, with 16 bit, you can create 65,536 subnets. Okay, with 16 bits, okay, the column for the subnet ID 16, you can create 65,536 subnet. You think in one organization can have up to this 65,000 subnet? I think less than that. So it's more than enough. It's more than enough to support the organization subnetting. Okay, that's why in IP version 6 we don't have to do subnetting by borrowing the bits from the host portion. Okay, so and then you have 64 bits for the interface ID. So you can cover up to 18 quintillion. I also don't know what is this. 18 quintillion host IP version 6 address per subnet. Imagine you have so many address allocated for the host. Okay. So do you still remember? We have for this one, this represent, okay, we have four digit here, 0, 0, 0, 0. So this 4 digit is in the decimal. Okay, so in decimal, no, not in decimal, in hexadecimal. This digit is hexadecimal. So hexadecimal you will have what, 16, 16 numbers, from 0 to 15. Okay, so you have 16. So each one is represented by 4 bits. So that's why we have 4 digit for hexadecimal. So that's why you have 16 bits. 4 multiplied by 4. Okay, so represent by this one, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, until you can get F, 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 F. So altogether is 65,536 subnet. Okay. Okay, for example here, how do you want to do the subnetting? Okay, so for example, how many network do we have here? Can anyone tell me how many network? Can you count for me? 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 network. Yeah, correct. Okay, you have 5 networks, so you need to create 5 subnets. Yeah. So in this case, you don't need to borrow any bits from the host portion. Yeah. So you can just assign from 5 subnet. Okay. From 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay, you can assign 2001 and then you get 0001. Start with that. Okay, so assign 001 for the first subnet, 002 second, and then for this wide area network, you assign 003, 0004, and 005. So each will have their own subnet. Yeah, so that's why for me, IP version 6 in terms of subnetting is very easy. Okay, you don't need to borrow any bits from the interface ID. Okay. Okay, I think that's all for subnetting IP networks for our chapter 8. Yeah. So any questions on this? Things is straightforward, IP version 6. So for your SBA 2 later on, you need to know how to configure in your PC to assign IP version 6 address and also the router and switch configuration. Yeah, so you need to know that. Okay, so when I give you the exercise later on, okay, please focus on that. Okay. So now let us move on to transport layer. So we have 1, 2, 3 more chapters. Yeah. So we have so many times after this. We'll finish early. Okay, but let me remind you, you will have one assignment for the group assignment. Remember that. So you have one group assignment. So I will give you the topics maybe next week lah. Fikirlah nak bagi apa nanti. Okay. So satu group Aina ada 5 orang sahaja. Okay. Each group consists of 5 people. Please form your own group. Okay. Please form your own group. Okay, now we moving on to this transport layer. So transport layer. So in TCP/IP, remember in the TCP/IP suite, transport layer is in layer 3. Transport layer. Okay, so the function of a transport layer is to establish the temporary communication session. Okay, so look at the definition here. The transport layer is responsible for establishing a temporary communication between 2 applications and delivering data between them. Okay, so between 2 applications, meaning that between the same application. Okay, for example, if you want to access the website, okay, So this communication is between the website and your client, the client and the server. So this is the establishing the communication, establishing a temporary communication. Why temporary? Because when you close, it also will close. Okay, when you switch off your laptop, the communication also will be closed. Okay, so this is the function, the main role of the transport layer. Okay, so the transport layer doesn't look into where the packet will be transported through which path. Yeah, so that's the function of internet layer. Okay. Okay, let us look in detail. Okay, what does this transport layer does? What does the transport layer do? Okay, first, as mentioned, it will track the conversation. Okay, for example, you need to know you open, so transport layer track each individual conversation flowing between a source and a destination application. Okay, that is one of the function to track the conversation between two applications. Okay. Secondly, the job of transport layer is to do the segmentation. Okay. For example, if you have a very long data, okay, and your the network or your laptop are not cannot, cannot, for example, your connection is only 10 megabit per second. Okay. But you have very huge data to transfer. So the transport layer will segmentize, will split the huge data into a smaller data. We call it as a segment. Yeah. So when you split, okay, for example, you split 100 megabyte. So you split into 10 megabyte for each segment. So you will have 10 segment. Yeah. So and then with this 10 segment, okay, you will be identified, okay, by the segment numbers. Okay, so segment number 1, number 2 until segment number 10. So this is the function of transport layer. Okay, number 1, tracking individual conversation. Number 2, segment the data. Okay, so segment the data is done by the by the source. Okay, and then assemble the segment is done by the receiver or the destination. Okay, for example, why we do assembling of the segment is, for example, you send the first segment number 1, and then you send segment number 2, number 3 until you send 10 segments. Okay, there are possibility that the segment arrive to the destination not in the order. Okay, for example, maybe segment number 2 arrive first as compared to segment number 1. Okay, maybe segment number 6 arrive first, then segment number 3. So what will happen in the receiver side, or what will happen in the destination part, destination side, is that it will wait, okay, until all the segments arrive and will do the and reassemble and put in order segment number 1, 2 until 10. So once the receiver do that part, then only it will pass to the application layer. Okay, so that is also the main function of transport layer. Okay, another one is that to identifying the applications. Okay, for example, how does your end devices know that this message is for website, for example, for NetaCat, and this message is for Cisco WebEx website. Okay, because in our laptop we open multiple of application, right? Okay, and then sometimes we use what do you call it, WhatsApp, kan? So we also want to know, for example, when the message arrive, whether we want to send to the WhatsApp or to send to the Cisco website. Okay, and we use YouTube. Okay, we want to know whether the message received by the receiver, is it for YouTube or for WhatsApp? Yeah, so that is to identify the application being done by the transport layer. Paham So the three main function of a task of transport layer is to track the individual conversation. Second, to do segmentation and reassemble the segment. And the third one is identifying the application. Okay, so these are the three main tasks by transport layer. So next. Okay, so this is a multiplexing, yeah, the transport layer services. Okay, multiplexing you tahu kan, you have multiple of input. The number of input is more than the number of output, kan? So that is multiplex lah. Now, transport layer, okay. So the protocol for transport layer, okay, we have two protocol for transport layer. The first one is TCP, we call it as Transmission Control Protocol, TCP. The second transport layer protocol, we call it as a User Datagram Protocol. So each protocol will have different features, yeah. Okay, you can see at this one, yeah. TCP, yeah. TCP is considered as a reliable protocol. Yeah? It's a reliable. Okay. Why we say it is a reliable protocol? Because it will make sure that all of the data arrive at the destination. Okay. So TCP is a reliable transport protocol because it will ensure that all the data arrive at the destination. Okay, if you want to give an analogy, it's like you use post laju. So post laju is TCP, because it makes sure that when the letter or the document arrive, it will be signed by the receiver. Okay, so if there is no receiver, okay, to receive the letter, okay, it will leave you a message, so that you can go to the post office to take your document. So this is reliable. But if you send a normal letter, you don't know whether the letter will arrive to the destination or not. All right? Yeah, because you don't have a mechanism to check. You just put the stamp and then you put in the post office. You don't know where your letter go to. Okay? But if you use post laju services, you can assure that the letter have been received. The letter have been reached to the destination and who received your letter. We have record all that. Okay, so that is TCP. If you want to say the analogy, So when you have reliability, so of course you will have more documentation. Right, so you need to check, you need to ask the IC number of the receiver, okay, right? So, but if you use normal letter, you don't need to have that types of procedure. So very easy. So that's why the TCP header, okay, is more than the UDP header. So the size of the packet increase in the TCP. Okay. UDP is a simpler transport layer protocol that does not provide for reliability. So that's why it has fewer fields and is faster than TCP. Okay. So now, why we have one transport protocol is reliable transport protocol, another one is unreliable transport protocol. So when we use TCP and when we need to use UDP. We will discuss after this. So for TCP, okay, in order for it to become a reliable protocol, transport protocol, there are three basic operations to ensure the reliability of TCP. Okay, number one, okay, it will put the number and track the data segment transmitted to a specific host from a specific application. It has a numbering system for tracking the data segment. Okay, that is number one, the first operation. Number two, once the segment reach to the destination will acknowledge the received data. Okay, it will send the reply to the sender saying that, okay, I already received the segment number one. Okay, so this is acknowledging received data. And number three, retransmit any unacknowledged data after a certain period of time. For example, if the sender has not received any acknowledgement from the receiver, okay, the sender will assume that the segment has lost. So the sender will retransmit any unacknowledged data. Okay, so that is the three operation to ensure that the TCP protocol is a reliable transport layer protocol. Any questions on this? So the animation you can play by yourself nanti. Okay, please. For UDP, it's very straightforward. He just send the segment and he doesn't care whether the receiver receive or not. Okay, so this is called as a best effort delivery protocol. Okay, it's unreliable because there is no acknowledgement that the data is received at the destination. Okay, but the size of the UDP data is lower. It's smaller than as compared to the TCP data. Okay. Okay, now this is the comparison between UDP and TCP, when you need to use UDP and when you need to use TCP. Okay, so if your application required fast delivery, okay, and low overhead. So with UDP, okay, is a very fast protocol. Sorry ada call masuk tadi Sorry. Okay. UDP, okay, the features of UDP is a very fast, okay, you can just send, okay, and then the overhead, because the size of the header of UDP is very low as compared to TCP, so you have low overhead and does not require acknowledgement, does not resend lost data, delivers data as it arrives. Okay, but for TCP, it's a very reliable. It will acknowledge all the data and will resend lost data and delivers data in sequence order. That is the comparison between UDP and TCP. Okay. Give the application that use UDP usually is a real-time application. Okay, why I say real-time, for example, is your IP telephony. So that is what I say as a real-time. So when you use real-time application, usually you will use UDP protocol. Okay, for example, real-time is you want to watch a live football match, you use UDP. Okay. So, but for TCP, it's used for non-real-time application. Okay, for example, your email. Okay, HTTP. Okay, So that is a non-real-time application. Yeah. So why? Can you tell me why for real-time application like a live uh, football match or live event we use UDP and not TCP? Can anybody tell me why? Why for real-time application we use UDP? Anybody want to try? Hmm? Why HTTP, when you access to the website, we use TCP transport? Eh? Anyone to answer? Tak ada idea. Not real time, ya lah. Not real time tu why? Not real time application? Why non real time application we use TCP and for real time application we use UDP? Lag. So what do you mean by lag? Tan? Is it okay or not if for your live event, broadcast event, you use TCP? Is it okay or not? The common sense, I mean the common sense why live event we use UDP. For example, you want to watch live football, right? So we know that TCP, it will send lost data, resend lost data. If you watch a live football match, is it important to know I mean the you get to watch, I mean the system need to resend the lost data. For example lah, kalau you pergi stadium tengok kan, kalau you dah miss one moment, you tak boleh nak tengok lagi kan, betul tak? Kalau you tengok live, kan? So similarly, with kalau you tengok apa tu dalam internet lah, so you have a live video, for example kan, football match. So kalau you dah miss that event, that moment kan, katalah you pergi toilet ke, tapi tiba-tiba dah goal kan, so you dah miss lah that moment, tapi dia boleh replay kan, the replay tu is not the live punya lah kan, tetapi you dah miss that moment, so you have to miss lah, so you don't need to resend, the system doesn't need to resend the lost moment that you have missed tu kan. Hope you understand lah apa saya cakap because in reality you don't need to resend the lost data, that's why you use UDP for real time. Okay, sama lah kalau you pergi stadium ke mana-mana, kalau you pergi ke mana-mana and then you miss that moment, you miss lah, you tak boleh nak replay lagi benda tu. So that is the why I say real time you need use UDP. Okay, so sama juga kalau you make a call kan, if you make a call, for example you use WhatsApp call kan, okay, so kalau if it is not clear, you akan tanya orang tu balik, betul tak? Boleh ulang tak apa you cakap tadi? Kan? So you don't need the protocol to do that for you, kan? So because you yourself can ask for the other side to repeat what they say. So that's why the transport layer don't need to resend the data again. Okay? So that is the few reason lah kenapa real time we use UDP, not TCP. Okay, for TCP features, okay, since it's a connection oriented, okay, so in TCP, the TCP will establish a session to ensure the application is ready to receive the data. Okay, so before you send the data, the TCP will establish a session first. Okay, this is one features of TCP. Okay. And then the same order delivery, meaning that, okay, the receiver will assemble all the segment in a proper order. Okay, as I mentioned just now, if he receive segment number 2, it has to wait for segment number 1, and then segment number 3 in sequence order. Once he receive everything, then only the transport layer will pass to the application layer. Okay, and then the reliable delivery, meaning that any lost segment, okay, will be resent, so the data is received completely. Okay, and then the fourth services that TCP can provide is flow control. Flow control is to ensure that the receiver is able to process the data received. Okay, for example, some of the receiver, we don't know what are the devices that they use, what are the specification of the devices. Sometimes you may use high-end devices. The sender use high-end devices, but the receiver use low-end devices. So sometimes it is not synchronized. So you send too many data, but the receiver can only process a few data. Okay, for example, you can send 20 data at one time, but the receiver can only process 3 data at one time. So that's why the sender and receiver need to agree. Okay, so how many data the sender should send to the receiver. So this is what we call as a flow control. Okay, because if you send too many data and the receiver cannot process, so the data will be lost. So when the data will be lost, the sender will keep on resend the same data. So it will affect the performance of the network, because you send the same data in the network. So it will make the network have strong overhead. Okay, so this is for TCP services. You need to establish the session before transmit the data, and then the TCP also will make sure that the same order delivery and reliable delivery, and also flow control. Okay, so this is the TCP header segment. Okay, you have a source port number. Okay, we know that in physical, in data link layer, you has what? MAC address. So MAC address number is the source MAC address, destination MAC address. And then we already know that in internet layer, we have IP address, source IP address, and the destination IP address. So similarly with TCP, okay, they have source port number and also the destination port number. Okay, what is port? What is port? Tahu ke port tu apa? Bukanlah port Klang. Port ni is port number is to identify the type of application. Okay, for example, HTTP has its own port number. Okay, mail, email, SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, has its own port number. So this port number identify the type of applications. Because remember, transport layer deal with types of application. Okay, so that's why we have source port number and destination port number, and then we have sequence number. Okay, used for data reassembly process here. Acknowledgement number. Okay, so acknowledgement number will tell you whether you already received the segment or not. Okay, and then we have this header length, reserve, control bits, window. Okay, Windows here is meaning that the number of bytes that can be accepted at one time. Okay? And then checksums to check whether you got error or not for this segment. Okay, and then you have options here. Okay, UDP features is very simple. So data is reconstructed in the order that it is received. Okay, any segment loss are not sent. Okay, no session establishment. Okay, we do not inform the sender about resource availability. Okay, so it is the opposite of TCP. You see, the header of UDP is much more less. Okay, you just have source port, destination port, the length of this segment, and also the checksum to check the error. Yeah, as compared to the TCP, you have a lot. Yeah, but here it's very simple. Yeah. Okay. So this is what I mean by port number. Okay, for example, for email, the port number is 110. For your website, the port number is 80. Okay, for chatting, the port number is 531. Yeah, so that's why the source port number and the destination port number. Okay, this is the same one. Okay, the only thing is that the protocol is the application protocol here, POP3 HTTP. Okay, and then we have instant messenger. Okay. Okay, now this is very important. The source port and the destination port. Okay. The source port number is dynamically generated by the sending device. Okay. For example, if you want to access to the google.com, okay, the source port number of your laptop is not 80. Okay. The source port number from your laptop is not 80. Okay. So the source port number from in your laptop, okay, can be dynamic, assigned by the operating system. Okay, but the destination port number is port number 80. Understand? Okay, so the source port number is dynamically generated by the sending device. Okay, this is the main point that you need to remember. And then the destination port is that the client places a destination port number in the segment to tell the destination server what service is being requested. Okay, so you need to tell the server what type of services is requested. Is it email? Is it HTML or what? So that's why you have a specific port address, the standard port address. Okay, I think let us stop over there first. Okay, let us stop here. So before we end, do you have any questions on this? Okay, for your assignment next week, I will give you group assignment. Okay. This group assignment, I want you to learn, I want you to use Wireshark. Wireshark. Let me write. Wireshark. Okay. So I want you to install Wireshark. Okay. In your laptop. Okay. So next week, I will give you the assignment, what you need to do. Okay. For now, you just have a look what Wireshark is. Then next week, I'll give you the assignment. Boleh? Boleh? Okey. Yang lain-lain boleh Okey, boleh. Okay. So if there is no questions, Thank you very much. Okay, so don't forget to submit your IP subnetting assignment. Ya, Kalai. Yeah, okay. You can assign the second subnet, the unused one. Kalai, do you understand me? If we assign second subnet, one of the network for router to router connection, yalah, router to router connection. Kan dia ada 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3 kan. So that wide area network 1, wide area network 2, wide area network 3 tu sepatutnya the prefix length should be the same. Should be the same lah. Slash katalah you kata slash 26. So slash 26, slash 26, slash 26 lah for that 3 wide area network tu. Faham?
Sir,
Apa dia?
bagi yang VLSI,
Macam mana?
kita assign the second subnet for the another subnetting kan?
Okay, dia macam ni. The first step tu you kena cari the maximum number of hosts, betul tak?
Okay,
Okay, you dah dapat kan?
dapat.
Apa dia?
Dapat.
Dah dapat kan? Okay, you pakai slash barulah kan? Prefix length yang baru, betul tak?
Ya.
Okay, and then you pakai, you cari the maximum number of hosts lagi sekali, betul tak?
Ya.
Okay, you ambil yang second punya subnet tu, you do the subnetting, betul tak?
Betul.
Okay, at one point nanti you akan dapat you perlu 2 saja connect IP kan for wide area network kan. So contohnya slash 30 kan. So wide area network tu semua nanti akan dapat slash 30 yang sama lah, slash 30, slash 30, slash 30 juga. The remaining subnetting yang you tak guna lagi. Faham? Okay. Kalau you dah tak boleh nak buat subnet lagi untuk subnet tu, you kena ambil yang subnet lain lah. Okay. Clear
Okay.
Amar, saya dah share dah attendance. Boleh nampak? Okay, any more questions? So tak ada orang tiru buat SBA 1. Okay. Alright, kalau tak ada apa-apa soalan, thank you very much. So remember, you need to form your own group. Each group will consist of 5 students only. Okay. So and then try to learn Wireshark. And try to learn Wireshark because I think I'm going to give you how to capture the something lah. Okay. Alright. Okay. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.